Hey everyone, it's Andrew Bahlmann from the Trade Zone. This is the first of a series of 6 videos that we've put together as a team, just really taking you on a journey of being a business owner and hopefully learning along the way. The one thing we like or strive to achieve is really the ability to operate from the trenches, and that's why we thought it apt to start with the first series being titled Taking Control of Your Business. The critical thing, and obviously this comes from our own experience, is putting reality on the table. You know, I think before we want to approach anything in life, one really needs to look at where are we today currently. Sometimes we kid ourselves, but looking back on life, I'm pretty sure you'll agree with us that when you're trying to progress any part of your life, your business, your health, your starting point is ground zero. So what we've done in the Trade Zone website is we've got a small template, really a set of questions that forms the framework of this first episode, as I mentioned earlier. And really what it is it's kind of an agenda, I suppose, but really it prompts some questions that we'd like you to ask yourself. Now, we've all done these before. You can skip through them and try and get to the end, but the cool thing with these questions is there is no end. It's really around taking stock of where you are today. And you know, I think if you really want to extract value and you really want to claw yourself out of your current situation, you know, one really has to take a long, hard look at these elements. And sure, there's hundreds more, but it's really just an indication of, I think, of where we can take the business. So I think, you know, the starting point is describe what your business is. Now, this may sound pretty basic or rudimentary, but you know, I think it's a $1 million question. You know, are you building a business or are you self-employed? What is it that you actually do? You know, are you somebody that sells a product or service, or are you someone who happens to champion customer service and you do this through selling a product or service? So the starting point is always that, you know, kind of jot it down, understand what it is that you're doing or what you want to do, because you know, there's obviously going to be quite a few people out there who may be thinking of starting a business, and I think that's, you know, that's probably the crossroads of any journey as far as building a business is concerned. So yeah, do that. Take a couple of minutes, and I'd really suggest, you know, this video will be available moving forward. So maybe just, you know, join us, ask some questions as we progress, and work on the worksheet through the website a little bit later, and always, you know, reflect here. Once you've identified this, and then look, for the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that you currently have a business. You know, take your business. You've identified what it is that you do. Again, don't trivialize any of these elements. They are stepping stones in the right direction. Now, think of 3 positive things about your business. They can be anything. You know, it could be how long you've been around, how much money you're making, how many customers you have, you're passionate about it. Again, this is a clean canvas. So identify 3 positive elements that you feel about your business. Once you've completed that, identify 3 negative elements, and that's really, really important. And typical, you know, I think, well, typically in life, when we have a list of positives and a list of negatives, the negatives generally outweighs the positives. And in the case of your business, clearly there are going to be some key elements that you're going to want to be focusing on in order to improve. Once you've taken the time, and this could take you 5 minutes, it could take you 5 hours, but once you've got those 2 lists, kind of weight them. You know, if you've got 3 positives and 3 negatives, where do you think more focus and attention and energy needs to be embedded or invested? And typically it's going to be under those negative areas. And those negatives could be, I want more customers, I need more sales, my overheads are too high, I don't know how to market online, I don't know how to effectively drive website traffic, you know, anything like that. Now, looking at those negatives, and I'm not that this is black dot syndrome, but it's, you know, let's start there. If you look at those 3 negatives, how difficult is it going to be to kind of invert those or convert those into being positives? So if you go through each of the 3 you've answered, and look, there may be more, we're just taking 3 as an example, and you can answer on all 3, yes, they can be converted to a positive. The very next question which we're going to ask is, so why haven't you done it? I think sometimes the theory of it being able to be achieved is pretty simple, but, you know, what do you need to do to get there? You know, what are the decisions one needs to make? What energy and effort do you need to put behind it? And I think that's really kind of joining the dots, and that's why this very, very basic exercise that we're asking you to invest a little bit of time into now really forms a strong foundation around where you're going to focus from today. And it's a simple analogy. If there's two of us, myself and Greg, one of the other members of, or in fact the founder of the Trade Zone, I'll give him credit for that. We start here today and we are next to each other. I turn 5 degrees and start walking, and Greg walks in a straight line. We know that after 100 meters we're going to be, probably 50 meters apart, but after 5 miles or kilometers, we're going to be a significantly be in significantly different areas. And that's the same analogy here. These little baby steps, these little incremental shifts in direction are going to have a profound impact on you moving forward. So now, looking at those last 3 negatives, whether you've answered yes or no, particularly if you've answered yes, you've got to ask yourself the question, what's holding you back? Why isn't your business a raging success? Why can't you be the next WhatsApp or Google or whatever it's going to be? And there's a lot of, in our experience, having worked with a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners over the years, there's a lot of common feedback, a lot of common challenges. And what's really interesting is if they're common, they would be pretty much common to everybody. So how come some people can overcome them and actually make a success, while others just obviously are on the hamster wheel or in the washing machine trying to just survive day by day? Typical examples there would be lack of funding, lack of experience, lack of guidance. I don't know all the moving parts of a business, cash flow management. So all of those types of elements that could factor into it. But you really need to take a step back and say, okay, first of all, what's holding me back? Secondly, how badly do I want this? I listened to something the other day where somebody was trying to use the analogy of or trying to determine how badly you want or in this example, it would have been a business, but pretty much anything in life. And he was out swimming in the sea and he got caught in the churn of a wave. And all he could think to himself was, I need air, I need air, I need air. It's a little bit of an extreme example, but afterwards he thought to himself, well, that was the only thing that was important to me at that time. But really, air is critical for me to breathe. How critical is starting a business, in those types of things, and it's going to mean different things to different people. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing in the Trade Zone. And you'll get a good opportunity to go and download the question template or the framework that I've been talking about in the Trade Zone at www.smetradezone.com, and you'll see that there's a lot of templates and a lot of framework that's been designed for business owners, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. I think one really important thing that I've learned over the years, and I've spoken to a number of successful entrepreneurs who've failed a lot over their lifetime as well, is the ability to separate the elements that are controllable and non-controllable. So a really good example, let's just say if we go back up to the negative points, one put the macro environmental element, or the economy is under a lot of pressure. Those types of elements, in reality, you aren't going to be able to control. But one needs to look a little bit deeper then. If you're looking at the economy being tough, the reality is going to be tough for everybody, for you, your competitors, your customers, your suppliers. So what does that mean to you? And I always, from any sort of questioning or line of analysis, I always like to use the 2 words, so what? The economy is tough, so what? What does that mean? Are you going to just close shop? Are you going to, shut down your business? What are you going to do about it? And I think that's where the real entrepreneurial DNA and the right line of questioning, the right line of support, the right frameworks and direction can allow you to trade through those types of challenges. Because as I mentioned before, it's going to be pretty much the same for everybody. So that ability to separate what's controllable and what isn't is really critical, because if you think about it from an entrepreneur, small business owner's perspective, the most crucial commodity that you own is your time. So where do you focus your time? Where are you going to invest it? Are you going to invest it in worrying about the global economy? Or are you going to invest it in doing product or service innovation, re-looking at pricing, re-looking at your business model, your cash flows, how are you going to retain customers, how are you going to bring on new customers. And I think the answer is pretty much self-explanatory, and that's one discipline that we've all followed over the years, and it's something that we push really hard through the Trade Zone, is that separate the controllable from the non-controllable. The non-controllable doesn't mean it isn't tough, but it kind of comes down to what's the point of worrying about it, because the global economy is not going to pay your bills at the end of the month. What you do with your time, with your business, with your people, with your resources, actually is going to. So I think that's a very small or basic starting point on those questions. And as I mentioned in the introduction, although it was a brief one, was we're looking at, as far as taking control of your business is concerned, we've split it out into 6 episodes. So each of the episodes is really going to take you into a different element of the business, some questions that you need to be asking, and a lot of it is around initial analysis, really taking a long, hard look at your business. And a very good question, if I asked any business owner or entrepreneur out there right now for a snapshot, kind of a dashboard of their business, where's your cash flow, what's happening with customer retention, what is your stock turn, are you on top of your controls, your governance, what are the regulatory impacts in your business, all of those types of things, what showstoppers are there in the business landscape. If you can't answer all of those questions really, really quickly, you probably suffer from what most entrepreneurs suffer from, and that's really focusing on what you're passionate about and not really getting to the other stuff. A good example, if you're an engineer and you're building or you're manufacturing something that obviously that you're really good at and you really enjoy, the engineering side of your business will be really good, but more often than not, the financial side, the governance, the cash forecasting, all of those types of things may not be that good. And it's those, unfortunately, those are the areas that often put businesses under strain. So, I think that's really, really important in going through the next couple of episodes together, is really to realize that one has to take a kind of high-level view of your business. You need to look at each component, and obviously only focus on the important ones, but look at each component of your business as though it's a really critical part of your business. I think that you can then decide how you split up your time among it, but it's really around having a radar. What is a radar? What is that one thing that you need to be looking at today at this time? But knowing that through your cycle, through your planning, through your management of your time, you're at least going to give the right amount of energy and focus through each of those things. One thing also in going through this process of, we've all done it, you take a whole lot of questions and you write down some answers, is you need to revisit those answers, because what may be applicable today won't necessarily be applicable in 6 months' time. But it's also a really good indication to determine how you've grown, how you've progressed, giving yourself a pat on the back for the little wins along the way. And I think one really, really tough thing that I've experienced, and I know chatting to my partners in the Trade Zone, they've done it in their own right as well, is it's a lonely space out there. So often we don't necessarily have the discipline, have the energy, have the framework to focus on, to know what to look at next. Am I going through the same thing that other entrepreneurs are going through? And I think that's really why you'll see as we progress, and we'll refer to the Trade Zone or the SME Trade Zone from time to time, you'll see that's kind of why this solution has been built. It's really something powerful to have a mentor, a wingman, guidance, expertise, the ability to have an online business that trades 24/7, 365. But that's for another discussion. But it's really just to let you know that if you take the time to watch this video, if you take the time to work through the initial questions and hopefully join us for the next couple of episodes, you'll see it'll start making a lot of sense. A lot of what we speak about, and in fact most of business success, is driven by the basics, getting the basics right, focusing on the right things. And there's many situations for all of us that we learn every day, and there's a whole lot of stuff we have no clue exists. You don't know what you don't know. And I think that's a really important message. The critical thing is it all gets learned by doing, and that's really what we try to achieve here. We're moving away from the theory. The Trade Zone is a practical tool that you've got to use and and walk the hard yards, but it at least gives you the right direction to follow, and to build case by case. Moving forward as well, obviously through this facility, it'll be great for people to join us live. Feel free to send questions. Like I said earlier, we've only got our own experience to leverage, but hopefully we can prevent some of you from banging your heads along the way. And yeah, I really hope you join us in our next episode. And yeah, it's an exciting journey together. For those of us that have been through it before, it's really worth it. And again, like I said, we're open to learning. So this is going to be a real group effort. And yeah, we look forward to the next episode with you. All the best and chat soon. Thanks. Cheers.